Willie Z, Grazerman, Vegas, Thorbjornsen, Dietrich, Pendrith, and Jaeger are the main names that I'm looking at right now for, if they're fair prices or even a bit longer, they're the ones that I'm going to be betting on Monday morning. The market's going to move very quickly with a lot of information coming out quickly because, once again, this tournament starts on Wednesday. All right?
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Farmers Insurance Open research, picks, preview, course, stats. We're going to try to guess the odds because this field is shockingly good for a non-elevated event. But there's a few things that you need to know. First off, you need to go to Underdog right now. Use code Mayo. Get yourself that deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and unlock a free pick. Doing very well in golf to start off the Underdog year. A big shift from a year ago. So starting to understand the pick'em game a little bit more over there. And there's still best ball drafts. Even the major season best ball draft is happening right now. And it really does help out the show if you use code Mayo. Highly recommend that you get yourself in there. My entire walkthrough today is powered by Fantasy National. FantasyNational.com/Mayo. Get you 20% off with all the stats, all the tools, the ownership projections, the lineup generator, and access to the #1 PGA Tour leaderboard on the market. So you might as well go get it if you're watching this and want to make your own stat power rankings and generate your own lineups this week. So for the farmers, the biggest thing I think you need to know is that this is the best week of the year to play Showdown for the first 2 rounds. We have 2 courses on the docket. Everyone in the field, 156 players, are going to split between Torrey Pines South, which is incredibly hard and over 7,700 yards. It's the longest course in the annual rotation on the PGA Tour. Don't play anyone from there on Showdown. I don't care how good they are, how good their stats look. You don't need to do it. Just play guys at the Torrey Pines North course each of the first 2 days. Stack it up round 1, then stack it back round 2. I won 2 GPPs in Showdown last year. The worst part was I played in the smaller field $10 and won that, and for $5,000. And if I had just entered it in the $15 one, then I would have won $20,000. But hey, you can't complain about tournaments you don't play in. That's, if I was never going to play in it in the first place, can't get too mad when I don't win it. But the amount of people that just don't stack up 6 guys is shocking. And there's even a little bit of a hack here too. You want your guys starting at hole number 1 on the North course because there is a birdie streak through 9, 10, and 11 that is not available to anyone that starts on hole number 10 because you don't get that wraparound. 18 is the most difficult hole on the course at the North course, so you're just not going to get any wraparound birdie streaks, and that's really what did it for me last year was I got that birdie streak from I think 4 or 5 of my guys coming through the 2 par 5s and the easy par 4 on that wraparound 9, 10, and 11, so that's the way that you want to play Showdown this week. And even though I'm telling you, most people still won't do this, and they'll try to mix and match their guys. Oh, I need to have Justin Rose in my lineup. He's been great at the South course over the years. Doesn't matter. Alexander Toasty is going to outperform him at the North course. That's just simply how it works. Keep that in mind. I'm not giving you earth-shattering news here. If you just looked at the scorecard and understand how this works, and you're not a complete moron, then you would be able to figure it out for yourself. But hey, now you don't have to dig in. I am just telling you that this is how it works. So hopefully we can find the right guys to put together that way. Now, both of the weekend rounds are going to be contested at the South course, which is very difficult. So you get one round cut line. Thank God it's not a 54-hole cut. I am filming this well before the 3rd round starts at the American Express because there is a special someone in my household who is turning 6 years old today. And that birthday party is in the afternoon, so I got to get all my work done before that happens so I can dedicate everything. Here's to hoping that either Rico Hoey or Charlie Hoffman can maintain their leads through the South course or at least just be in striking distance for a gigantic payday this week. It would be awesome to hit like a 200-1 winner after missing out on Nick Taylor last week at the gigantic odds. It would be nice to rebound and have this, but we'll see how that goes. We're a long ways away, still 36 holes to go, and all my guys have to play the most difficult course. I would pay attention to what is happening, especially with the collection of guys in the 3rd round at the stadium course this week, and even in the 4th round if you're watching this on Sunday, because the Genesis that is normally contested at Riviera is unlikely to be played at Riviera. Nathan Hubbard tweeted that out. Nathan Hubbard's on the grounds with his brother Mark, who's in contention. Nathan's a friend of the show, and unfortunately, sad scene that Nathan lost his house during the Palisades fire. And he said that Riviera itself is fine, but they're just not going to have a PGA Tour event while where there's rubble surrounding the course, and they're going to come in and hold a golf tournament. That just is very bad optics. It wouldn't be good for the area. They have to focus on what they're doing. But the biggest thing is they might actually play that tournament at the stadium course at PGA West, or maybe one of the other PGA West courses. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm guessing it would be the stadium course because the cameras are already there. The shot link is already fixated to that, and all of the good players are playing there today, aka the guys from this tournament of the 156 who would probably be the most likely to be playing in that. Now, there's no rough at the American Express right now because it's a pro-am, it's a super easy course. If they simply grow out the rough at the stadium course for the next 3 weeks to get it ready for the Genesis, I think it could be a really fun tournament. Like, we always like the theatrics, even if people don't like TPC Sawgrass, that there's theatrics that come along with it. And the stadium course is, it's based off of TPC Sawgrass. You even have a peninsula hole where you can hit it onto the rocks on the par 3 17th. Although that shot is much more difficult. It's not as nerve-wracking as the one at Sawgrass, but it's just a harder shot. It's a longer shot, albeit down a hill. But you can hit a rock and like bounce back into the water. That's absolutely no fun. Ask Sam Burns or that guy, Mayo, who took a 13 on 16, then triple bogeyed 17 after coming up short on the rocks and bouncing into the water after making the 13 a octuple bogey, I think is what we're calling it. +8 on one hole. Don't see that too often on the PGA Tour from a professional, but it's a good way to get some research into it. You would want the guys who are hitting a ton of fairways both today and tomorrow, and guys might alter their game plan a little bit knowing that if they miss the fairway, it's far more detrimental than it would be today. But that's just one of the angles that I'm taking. We can also look back to the year that Siwoo won, and with Finau and Cantlay up near the very top of the leaderboard. If you want to get some like extra research, I know I'm not talking about farmers here, but for the Genesis, that they played 3 rounds at the stadium course that year because of COVID. They also played the Nicklaus Tournament course, but 3 of them, it was set up very much like the Farmers Insurance Open, where you just get the 3 rounds, you split the first 2 days, then everything on the weekend is at the main course. There is one big note of the Farmers that you do need to figure out, though, and just don't forget this very important point. It starts on Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They want nothing to do. Very smart by them with the NFL Conference Championship game. So just be done. I actually really love this, just to hang out and chill on a Saturday, get to enjoy it. It's like the one decent tactical move the PGA Tour has made over the past 5 years is just moving this one through the final round on a Saturday. Maybe people will watch it. It's really the first time all year a closing round goes up, not against the NFL, which is probably exactly where you want to be. You see, the TGL is doing ratings when they're not going against the NFL or basically anything on Tuesday night. So hopefully the Farmers can do that. And we do have a really strong field this time around. It's been the one good thing. People like to go play Torrey Pines. So at the top, you got Hideki, who's already won this year, Morikawa, who's already lost to Hideki this year at the Century, Ludwig, Keegan, Thigala, Sungjae, Zalatoris, who I am betting to win. We'll look into his stats later on. Maybe he'll end up winning the American Express. I don't think that he's going to do that because it just requires too many birdies from his part. And whereas when you get to Torrey Pines, it doesn't. You can win it like -13, -10. As Zalatoris has already lost in a playoff to Luke List here. That was the best sweat-free playoff. Now, if I can get Rico Hoey and Hoffman into a playoff with each other, that will literally be the most sweat-free playoff of all time. But I had Zalatoris and List the year that List won. It's never happened to me before. We had 3 of them in the playoff of that ISO tournament last year. And of course, I didn't hit any of the guys that I bet on there. So that was no fun. But just thinking back to that, those are some of the names in the field. Finau, Mav, Lowry's playing for the first time on the PGA Tour this week. Bhatia's back from Dubai. Clanton is in the field again. Tristan, don't call me Tristan, call me Thirsty Lawrence, is playing. He's a full-time member on the PGA Tour now. He's coming over to play at Torrey Pines this time around. And when we think about some of the course history facts here, 13 of the past 16 winners at Torrey Pines have had a top 10 at this tournament in the past. There's 3 of them that didn't. Scott Stallings, who won out of nowhere at like 300 to 1 odds in 2014. John Rahm won in his first ever appearance at the Farmers Insurance Open in 2017, and Pavon won in his first start last year. So I guess in 2031, you could just mark off some Euro who's never played Torrey Pines before, and they are most definitely going to win. It can happen. It is just more unlikely than anything else. So it starts on a Wednesday. For Showdown, you want to stack everyone at the North Course. Don't even consider the South Course, with it being 500 yards shorter. And what did I say? Start on Wednesday. North Course stack. Oh, driving distance. Yeah, you're going to want to have driving distance, but more on that when we dig into the stats from the past few years a little bit later on. I want to talk a little bit more about the course this time around. This is the South Course at Torrey Pines. As mentioned, 7,765 yards. It is eerily difficult. There are very few easy holes on this course. Now, you do get the full complement of par 5. So number 6 is a very easy hole. You see a 2.5% eagle rate, 42% birdie rate. It's the easiest hole on the course. Shane Lowry had an albatross on this hole in the final round a year ago. And you'll find that when you start making the turn, as you get through these 3 pretty easy holes, 8, 9, and 10, pretty easy. You have a 30% birdie rate for the par 5 number 9, 16% for number 8, and then the other one's just a big par fest, which does make it one of the easier ones, the 6th easiest on the course. And then it's a death trap the rest of the way. You do have the 2 gettable par 5s, although number 13 is not a par 5 that people frequently get to in 2 shots, so it's going to be a wedge into that, and 18 is very much the same way. If you're not in the middle of the fairway, you're not going to be able to take a run at making eagle on 18. So it comes down to a wedge shot that you really need to control the spin with. You're better off playing it at the top of the hill in the final round and letting it just roll back down to that pin, because we saw Kyle Stanley had this tournament won, I want to say in 2013, something like that. And he put the Ultimo spin on the ball and just blipped it right back into the water, and Brandt Snedeker ended up winning. Of note, Kyle Stanley did go on to win the next week in Phoenix when Spencer Levine had an absolute meltdown and smoked an entire pack of cigs on the back nine and got a cactus stuck in his ass. Still one of my favorite tournaments of all time to have watched in real time. But when you have 11, 12, and 15 being 3 of the 5 most difficult holes on the course, and 14 and 16 still not being very easy anyway, and 17 playing over par but being on the easy side for this course, guys are going to go into the back with a lead. And we've seen guys absolutely melt down, like Jaeger melt down with the short putt last year, and that was just the end of him. And Pavon was still able to out-duel Nikolai Højgaard last year too. So we take a look at what matters the most here. Approach and putting, big shocker. Around the green does play as much as off the tee, but it's driving distance that you want a lot of the time. You do obviously want to be hitting fairways because the rough is weird here. It's a bit thicker than normal. However, it's not like a U.S. Open style rough. They save that for when the U.S. Open is at Torrey Pines. So you can miss a few fairways and get away with it, but you just see the average shot distribution is so stacked towards long irons. Driving distance, long irons, can you make some putts? Can you save yourself around the green? That's how Patrick Reed ended up winning the year that he did here. So that's essentially what I'm looking for. A lot of the times you have to have a little bit of course history, and even Pavon last year, we'll look into that, but the 3 previous champions, Homo, List, and Reed, played really well in the early season. Like, they didn't have to get themselves up. They didn't come out of nowhere. And we take a look at Pavon and just what he was able to do a year ago in this regard. Let's see. Old Mathieu Pavon. How was he playing before his win? I know that he had a pretty decent, he was 7th at the Sony, and then he was 39th at the American Express. I would quantify that as a pretty good start to the season. So let's take a look at the Farmers Insurance Open and what actually happened a year ago. And the one that I really want to throw out to this is, it's not so much for the guys. The reason that I bet Jake Knapp to win in Mexico last year is because he performed so well here. And I made the mental note in my mind. I may have even written it at the time. Lord knows. I write a lot of stuff. I completely forget. If you want to look for this, you can sub to the free newsletter. I'll send you the preview article and early picks for this event. Will Zalatoris. Other than that, you can find it on X as well. And if you do see it on X, please retweet it, like it, share it around, trying to build a base of people coming to X to find a lot of my articles now before, hopefully I launch something very new as it pertains to golf, which I'm very excited about. That's why using code Mayo at Underdog, I need that extra money to fund this side project, which is going to work out really well for everyone, I think, if you like golf content. Something new. We were first to the scene with Fantasy National with this product, and a lot of people have similar products to Fantasy National now. So now I need to get back ahead of the scene. One of the first people with a golf video show and podcast, a lot of people ended up doing that. Then we ended up going to Fantasy National, building the stat site. It was the only one around for so long. We were first to the scene. Now a lot of people have it. I am working on something new. I just need the funding to come through for it, and we can really do that. The way you can directly help me is by using code Mayo at Underdog right now. Go play an entry, go sign up, throw fucking $10 on or something like that. It doesn't need to be anything big. I'll hopefully try to help you be a winner on Underdog, but if you just waste $10 on it, it will help me out significantly in bringing this new project to life. I don't know if I'm going to be able to launch it before Masters this year, even by end of the year. It all depends on how much funding I can secure and how quickly developers can get into the work. But I'm very excited about this project. So, support the show. Smash the like, sub to the channel, rating and review on iTunes and Spotify, everything like that. But I want to go to the Mexico Open. That's the first place I wanted to start with everything, just to see how I'm looking here. We'll go to Jake Knapp. We're going to sort by wins because that's where he won. So this is a big driving distance course. This is why I say this kind of thing. So we're going to take a look at how guys did last year. So you had Knapp. Jake Knapp ended up coming third at Torrey Pines last year. He sure did. I'm going to sort by strokes gained too. Of note, there is no strokes gained metrics from Torrey Pines South. Or from Torrey Pines North, sorry. So the one course they play there, these are just 3 rounds from the South course. So some guys go and beat up on the North course, then they have to maintain themselves throughout the course of the week. Jaeger ended up coming third here. Jaeger was up by 3 after like 7 holes in the final round a year ago. I actually like going back to Steven Jaeger a lot here. He had a case of the lefts at the Sony Open, but he was very much there and ready to win. You think about where else he won. So minus 13 was the winning score last year. Steven Jaeger wins in Houston last year. And what did that tournament have in common with everything else? Well, let's go take a look. It's guys that play well at difficult courses. Minus 12, minus 11. Toasty played well. Dietrich played well. Finau played well. All of those guys last year played pretty well at Torrey Pines. I don't know where Toasty ended up finishing or whether or not he made the cut. He came 43rd. I just remember he made me a bunch of money. He was the key guy that I had in Showdown, and he went off at the South course. But you just see a lot of similar names from those leaderboards switching over. So if we go to this one, so we see Knapp came in third, CT Pan, Steven Jaeger. Jaeger came third at Torrey Pines. He came third in Mexico. So you have Lauer, Rogers, and Gim. So let's see. Lauer, how did he do? It doesn't seem like a good Lauer course, honestly, but he came 43rd. Gim came 13th a year ago at Torrey Pines and was 8th at the Mexico course at Vedanta. Mav McNeely, Ben Silverman. There's Finau. Finau had obviously won in Mexico previous to that. Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai was very much in the mix 2 years ago, I believe, at Torrey Pines. That was the year I think that Zalatoris ended up losing to List. But let's see. Farmers Insurance Open. Yeah, he was 6th in 2022. 52nd and 33rd. He's made the cut every time that he's played it. So I just found that was really interesting that when you go back and look at the leaderboard from Torrey Pines, that it directly bled into the Mexico leaderboard and guys who have had success, albeit only in 3 years at the Vedanta course, that it's a lot of the similar guys that do well at Torrey Pines because it's a very similar skill set. Much easier to putt, and obviously the score is way lower in Mexico, but it has the same basic concept of you need to hit your driver as far as possible in order to make things happen here. So when we kind of look down, Højgaard ended up doing really well at the Masters too. So there has been a Masters corollary here over the years. Ludwig, obviously second at the Masters. Xander was top 10 at the Masters. I think Pendrith did all that well. Kevin Yu ended up doing pretty well. He won over the swing season. He ended up winning. I forget where it was. I think he won at Sanderson Farms after Keith Mitchell absolutely melted down. Yeah, it was Sanderson Farms. Good week for him. Like the only week ever he putted. Let's see how he has done at Farmers in his short career. He was 6th a year ago, so that's not bad. And let's see how he's done in Mexico. Never played in the Mexico Open. So maybe if Kevin Yu plays in the Mexico Open this year, he would be someone to look at. Obviously, Hideki has won the Masters before. Homa's a past champion here, was top 10, or was top 4 at the Masters. So different things, different angles that you can take here. I think if you're looking for sleepers in this field, you're looking for someone who has played well at the Mexico course over the years, or has just historically played well at Torrey Pines. And then if you want to go to the higher end, if the guys haven't done well at the Masters ever, not saying that they can't win at this course, but at the same time, you have to think that it's a spot where there's something obviously that is is going on between these two places. So that is just something I really wanted to kind of take note of. So you can find the perfect combination of guys that are either good at the Masters and Mexico and have decent form coming in. That's probably the sweet spot where you want to be, which leads me to Johnny Vegas, who I'm pretty sure is going to miss the cut. I bet on him this week at the American Express after leading the Century in strokes gained approach. How has he done in Mexico over the years? The Mexico Open, 60th. He only played it last year and gained a bunch of strokes on approach, but he makes the cut like every year at Torrey Pines. I even lost in a playoff to Jason Day, I want to say. Last year was the first year he missed the cut on the number a year ago. But he was, again, with Toasty, a part of that team that won a bunch. He had such a bad round at the South Course. But if we just see Farmers, 25th, 39th, miscut, 30th, miscut, 28th, 18th, 11th, 3rd in 2011. So he didn't lose in the playoff. That's weird. Maybe it was the Stallings year that I thought that he was there. I want to try to guess this now. The year that Stallings won. It was Stallings, Day, Woodland, someone else. I thought it was Vegas, but I guess it was not. Let's see. No, this is even the wrong year. Maybe 2014 was the year for Scott Stallings. I like to try to jog my memories. I'm KJ Choi, really. Stallings, no, he won back-to-back years, didn't he? Maybe Day ended up winning in the playoff. Now I totally cannot remember. This is making me look like a fool when we're out here. No, it was I still worked at Fantasy, so it would have had to be in 2015, 2013 maybe? No, Tiger won that year. That's a long time ago if we're talking about Tiger in the run that he used to go on here. Yeah, here's the year. Stallings lost to Day in the playoff with Harris English and JB Holmes, so it wasn't even Woodland who ended up doing it. Interesting stuff. Shane Lowry, new to the scene Shane Lowry, was T7 that year. Anyway, that's something that I just wanted to check out. Vegas I do like, and he'll be in the mid-6,000s again, like he is every week. And he might miss the cut, but he does give you a great edge. As you can see, I have my Torrey Pines model loaded in at the moment, and he comes out past 12 rounds. Where's Vegas at right now? Depending on what I've done. Thorbjornsen's also a really good look here with just how prodigious he is off the tee. You see Vegas, 4th in driving distance, 8th in ball striking over the past 12 rounds. Does not rate out all that highly, but Thorbjornsen, let's see, driving distance. Let's just sort by driving distance. We'll go a bit longer on driving distance. We'll say past 36 in case you have an outlier course. Guys were bombing it if they played the Century, although it is driving distance gained versus the field, not overall driving distance. Still, we'll see here. Goddard, Thorbjornsen, Vegas, Aldrich Pottinger, which apparently is not how you say it at all, but I didn't really care to learn how to say it. This is what I did last year when I just sorted. That's how I ended up with Toasty in my lineups, and Vegas in my lineups, and Showdown, which is take these guys when they're playing the North Course. Grazerman, I think, is a really good look this week. People are going to be off him a little bit unless he makes a big run at the Amex. So let's see. Zalatoris, Grazerman. These are just the early thoughts that I'm having. You can't hold me to this. I'll have the full bets made by the time that the Monday show comes out. And then again, it starts on Wednesday. So the DraftKings show with Tambo and the final bets, the weather, everything like that will be coming out on Tuesday morning, not Wednesday morning this week. Just to get that into the back of your mind. Knapp is still up there. Tim Whiting won, I think, twice on the DP World Tour a year ago. You see Nikolai Højgaard, who was very much in the mix last year. This should, on paper, be a great course for Ludwig. This was the tournament a year ago when he kept missing all those short putts. I'm like, he can't putt on POA. But I think he actually ended up, he made a bunch of bombs throughout the course of the week. So I think he actually ended up gaining strokes putting at the South Course when everyone was just railing. He did. Yeah, he gained 1.1 strokes. It should have been way more. He should have won this tournament a year ago. It's just the putter did hold him back from key birdie opportunities that he needed to make, and it just did not come down that way. Woodland's actually playing pretty well coming into this. So Grazerman, Zalatoris, Vegas, and Thorbjornsen would be the first looks right now. You can contend it. I just randomly brought up a year where Brandt Snedeker ended up winning. Pavon isn't the biggest bomber on the PGA Tour. You can see right now he's 101st in driving distance over the past 36 rounds of players in this field. But by and large, you're going to find the leaderboard. Guys played incredibly well with their long irons and guys who hit the shit out of the ball off the tee. Like that, those are the two things that matter this week. This is the TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league, an all-new indoor arena-style golf where high-tech meets higher stakes meets primetime ESPN. Tuesday evening, January 21st, New York takes on Atlanta. The odds are out, and it is a coin flip this time around. A 3-on-3 match play golf league that takes the competition of pro golf and places it inside an arena sports atmosphere. We've already seen New York. They lost in week 1 to the Bay Area, but we still got Xander, Cam Young, Ricky Fowler, Matt Fitzpatrick, this time taking on Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Lucas Glover, and Billy Horschel on ESPN January 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is TGL presented by SoFi. Keep up. It's golf. I'll go into this model in a second. I just want to show you. I actually called something a Torrey Pines simple, like just the key takeaways of what you need to look at this week. Driving distance, fairways, proximity 200 around the green, and then proximity from a little bit more. You can see how I have it weighted. Driving distance is 3 times the amount of fairways, so 30 and 10, 25 for 200 around the green, 10%, 175 to 200. That basically covers all your bases on the par threes. If we look at it past 36, Thorbjornsen is number 1. Kitayama should be good here. Sungjae has been good here in his career. He's 3rd. Michael Kim, our guy, maybe he can win Torrey Pines. That'd be sweet. Hideki, Harry Hall, Chan Kim, for Chan, Bramwagon, Vegas, Ludwig, Tony, Griffin, Grazerman, Rico, California guy. I mean, he's from the Philippines, but he's a Clanton, guy. Clanton, Nikolai is up there as well. JJ Spawn, who's had some decent run at this tournament over the years. Kevin Yu, who was inside the top 5 a year ago in this tournament. Kevin Roy can't putt, but can do the other stuff pretty well, as we found out. Matty Schmidt would be another one, although you generally keep him for Pete Dye courses, but he is coming into his own a little bit more right now. So yeah, distance over fairways, but still matters, obviously. And then guys that are good with their long irons. If we shrink it down to the smallest sample, I think that is still relevant because we talked about guys doing well throughout the early part of the season and doing well here. Just past 12 rounds, Sungjae, Thorbjornsen, Whaley, Griffin, Novak, Smalley, Roy, Kevin Yu is still up there. Rico is still up there. Rico is a pretty deadly combo. If he doesn't win this week, he might actually win in Mexico because he and Kevin Yu are kind of set up perfectly for this course. Bomb it off the tee, relatively accurate, and they're pretty good with their longer irons coming in. It's the closer you get to the hole, the worse they end up getting, which is passable at this course. Even Mac Hughes. It's too bad that, his around the green should be pretty good. We've seen him pop up at weird tournaments like this in the past, so it wouldn't be shocking to see him do well. But Pottinger mashes it. He's like 20'12" and kills it. Pearson Cootie. It was his brother Parker, who I believe finished inside the top 15 last year. It's too bad. Is he not here? No, Dietrich is here. Dietrich's making the short list too. He gagged this tournament away a year ago. He was very much in the mix. I think he was in the final group and ended up coming T20 when all was said and done. He just completely imploded on Sunday. And sometimes that happens the very first time guys get into tournaments. Oh, we have Nicholas Norgad Möller in this tournament as well. This could be the random Euro who shows up and wins for the first time here. Let's see. World Golf Rankings, Golf Monthly, writing 16 things you did not know about our main man, Nicholas Norgard. Nicholas Norgard is what we're saying. Norgard. Why isn't his official World Golf Ranking coming up? I just want the page where they talk about that. Are they not doing that anymore? Like, come on, people. All right, let's try this again. Official World Golf Rankings. And what the hell is mymully.com? That is a very good ad to have on top. Good Google ad buy on their part. So let's see. The Danes are coming for the PGA Tour. Maybe it's just Nicholas Norgard is what we're in here with. There he is. So I just thought he was an interesting player to talk about being in this field because he is one of the bigger hitters. We can see that he won the Betfred British Masters. And then he was 7th at Wentworth as well. Followed that up the Alfred Dunhill Links with a 12th. L'Open de France, he was 18th. In Abu Dhabi at the end of the year, he was T10. So he had a very nice run. That's how he obtained his PGA Tour card. And he even had some nice stuff. The European Open. That's the one in Germany, I believe. Soudal, no idea where that is. That he was T2 there that week. So he hasn't had a lot of experience over here. And he hasn't played yet over in America yet this year. I believe that he is in Dubai so far this week, but I have no idea how that's going for him. But he's now over. It's a chance for him to do something. And like I said, he absolutely kills it off the tee. So that's always one way that you can overpower this course, or at least give yourself he was 15th at the Genesis, and he was 27th at the Barbasol in 2022. But he seems to be a much better player this time around. So another guy that you could potentially look at this week because the driving distance is off the chart. When in doubt, default to driving distance. Oh, there's our guy, William Mao. Poor guy. At least he's in the tournament this week. If JJ Spawn doesn't get the job done at American Express, you can look back at him. I always thought that this was a great Thigala course, but I don't know. It's just he's been off so far this year. Just nothing has really clicked. He was a little bit better at Sony. I bet him at Sony because I thought the odds were a bit ridiculous. But he is someone who plays generally pretty well in California. His odds are going to be suppressed a little bit down the list. He was 64th a year ago, and he grinded to make the cut, but it was top 25 the 2 years before that. So he does hit the qualification of has a top 10 at this tournament before, but just a few different things you can look at. If we switch back over to the full Torrey Pines model that I built out for myself, you can see there's a lot more categories on here. And if we go to see how everything is distributed, it's pretty flat. Like I have birdies are better gained here. That's just to look at. It's at 0%. Sometimes I like to see one stat next to another and see how that works out. But it's very weighted. Like the most prevalent thing in this is driving distance, 15%, par 5s, 11, around the green, 12, ball striking, 11. Then you have some key par 3 range, key par 4 range, the difficult ones. And then there's two long proximities, 175 to 200, 200 plus. Fairways, decreased a little bit. I can even improve driving distance a little bit up from here and take down fairways just a little bit to keep the same ratio that I had from the other model. Then, of course, strokes gained approach. And we'll just run that again to see what happens. Last 12 rounds again. Kitayama, M, Griffin, Luke Clanton, Thorbjornsen, Novak, who's just been a disaster so far this season. Michael Kim is up there again. And you have Fishburne. Maybe this is a decent Fishburne spot. I mean, it's weird to think, like, for a guy who's contended so much recently, I don't know a ton about Patrick Fishburne, except I just call him Morpheus most of the time. But he was able to, it was all chipping and putting for him at Sony. But back-to-back top 10s coming in. Has he ever played Farmers before? He did. He missed the cut here a year ago. Bad chipping and putting. Bring some chipping and putting with you, and all of a sudden you got a stew going, Patty Fishburne. Hook yourself into the matrix, and you'll be jumping over buildings, making hole-in-ones, and winning the Farmers Insurance Open. Morikawa is in this field, by the way. So is Hideki. You're just not seeing them pop up at the moment, but they're going to be at the very top of the odds board when we really do check this out. We'll see just around the green play, see if that matches up driving distance with anyone. Bramlett has been pretty good at both. Saldana and Hayden Springer. Hayden Springer's, what the hell has Hayden Springer been up to? He doesn't putt very well and doesn't hit his irons very well, but he drives it, chips it, and putts it pretty decently and scores on par 5s. We have not seen him yet this season play. His best finish was an 8th at Sanderson Farms over the swing. He was 33rd here a year ago. All right, he gained 8 strokes putting. Yeah, that'll do it for you. You gain 8 strokes putting through 3 rounds at the South Course. You're going to have yourself a pretty decent week. But just statistically, he does fit the profile pretty well. Much more than I would have thought, honestly. Who else do we have up here? Wilding. How has Weidling been playing? The Swede. 41st the U.S. Open. Doesn't have any starts on tour as of yet this season. If we go back to the official world golf rankings, maybe he's been playing overseas. Maybe he hasn't been. Maybe he's just been chilling. Just chilling the most. Tim Whiting. Let's see here now. I would guess that he probably played somewhere overseas. Yes. No, he played in Hawaii. It was WD. Okay. He was one of the guys who got sick, I guess, that week. Knapp played this week coming off the injury, and so did Thorbjornsen. Thorbjornsen said he had like a bronchitis or he had some sort of viral injury, and then he was fine this week, and he's playing fine in Palm Springs, but Knapp has just been bad. He seems like he's actually hurt. I would actually venture a guess to stay away from Jake Knapp this week, although I did want to bet him to win, but unless he shows something where he can shoot around under par at the world's easiest courses, that this might not be the spot for him anymore. Kitayama is pretty up there. I wonder how Kitayama... Keegan is another one who has played well at this course. Is one of those guys who's off to the really hot start as well, again, which is something to look for. Kitayama has never made the cut, cannot figure out these greens at Torrey Pines. Close some of these tabs. I don't want everything slowing down on us. Take a look at the tournament history coming in to see if we can find maybe some guys who are, have those top 10. So Pavon, Højgaard, Jaeger, Knapp, Lashley. Lashley's another one who played really well in Mexico. Oh, this is really interesting. Let's try this. We'll go to strokes gained. And then we're going to sort by Vedanta. And just see who plays well at these courses. And we'll put it on average. Now, a lot of guys are going to have 0 rounds because not very many players who play in this field play in Mexico. Let's see. Knapp, Akshay, Finau, Kitayama. So Kitayama's been the worst, and that's through 4 rounds. Finau, Akshay, Knapp, all top 10s here. No idea if Wacky Valimaki ended up playing. Patrick Rogers, Bo Hostler, Steven Yeager, we do know has the top 10. I don't think Carson Young is really the right guy for this. Kevin Roy has played well there. Griot, I think Griot was like one of those outlier dudes that hits it really short, but played the long irons really well and had done well. Like on paper, Novak should be a good play this week. I just don't know what's going on with him. You see Lashley had played well, ended up at the top 10. So let's see. Valimaki, how have you done at the Farmers Insurance Open? 43rd last year, so at least made the cut. It's good to know. Patrick Rogers. I feel like this is one of Patrick Rogers' better ones. Yeah, he has 1, 2, 3 top 10s at the Farmers over the years. This might work better the other way around, honestly, where you see who does well and has played well at Torrey Pines to bet in Mexico in a few weeks' time instead of the inverse. But I'm still looking for guys to round out my DraftKings lineups. Long hitters to go. Who's this? Bo Hostler? Yeah, Bo Hostler, a 6th and a 9th at the Farmers over the course of his career. Griot was another one who was up on that list. He has none. He has made the cut most of the time. Top 20 last year, top 12 in his career. Nothing great, but just gains a ton on approach. Really can't putt at Torrey Pines. So there's some more names that we can start to consider from that list who had played well in Mexico. So that was interesting to look at. You have Kevin Yu, Ludwig, Pendrith. Pendrith has some decent results here. So 2 top 20s and 3 starts. So we'll throw Pendrith on the short list as well of guys. I can see these guys being pretty buried in the odds, honestly. Who else? Zalatoris has 2 top 10s and 3 top 15s and 4 starts in his career. Dietrich has made the cut both times I mentioned, played in the final group a year ago. And listen, he was in contention at Kapalua. So why not, right? Let's see. Sony wasn't very good, but that's not really a great course for him. 5th at the Century. So he's someone who could most definitely pop this week on that list. So strokes gained total over the years. Past 5 years of this course, Homa has been the best top 24 the past 5 seasons with a win in 2023. Hit back-to-back winners here with List and Max Homa. That's always nice to have on the card. I've actually done pretty well with this tournament over the years. Finau, Sungjae, List, and Zalatoris are the ones coming in who've been pretty good. Hideki, Ryan Palmer, Jason Day, Keegan. Keegan had the runner-up in 2023, and Keegan kind of does fit the guy who's off to a good start so far this season, if that's where you really want to go. 15th at the Century, 6th at Sony, putted the lights out Saturday at Sony, couldn't make a fucking putt on Sunday when he was in contention. But another guy that's worth noting, Taylor Montgomery's playing a little bit better right now and has 2 15s in his. Now, he's all chipping and putting at Farmers, so he's not the prototypical guy that I would like to go to, but is noticeably playing well at this course. And course history is more of a factor this week than it is at a lot of other courses. Morikawa has a 3rd in 2023. He was in contention at the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines as well and could not get it done. Obviously, Rahm ran away with it down the stretch. Bramlett, who's someone we just saw across those numbers, has top 25s 3 of the past 4 years at Torrey Pines. Mav only has the top 15 in the past 5 years, has made the cut 4 or 5 times. Rose is a former winner here. I don't know if I'd like to go to him this soon in what I believe is his first PGA start of the season. You can see Pendrith and Rogers with the top 10s. Pavon gets the first win. Nikolai and Knapp, all first-timers. It's very unusual what happened a year ago in that regard. Homa, Keegan, Morikawa, Sungjae. Oh, this was the year Sam Ryder was running away with it. And then his mom, they brought his mom on to the broadcast because they were walking around with him for his first ever win. And he was up by 4, I think, at the turn, and then he just melted down. Although he does have a nice little pattern here. Cut, T10, cut, T4, cut. So this year, he should be like second. Something like that. Sam Stevens should be someone who plays long courses really well, so it wouldn't be shocking to see him do all that well, or to do all that poorly here. He should do well. Taylor Moore is another one. He was one who popped up on that Houston crossover that I was looking at, lost by a shot in that huge second-way tie with Scheffler, everyone losing to Steven Yeager from there. So Yeager is another one I have to put on the short list. Obviously, all these will be odds dependent on some of the players that we want to run through, but I think we're starting to get a very good grasp on the types of players that we want to target. Some names from the bottom of the board. It's always difficult to parse through which guys at the top of the board you really want to go to. Like, do you want Hideki coming off win? Do you want Colin? Do you want Ludwig? I think Ludwig or Keegan would probably be my favorites, honestly, but I prefer Zalatoris to these guys anyway, so That's where I'm going. You can pick and choose from there. It's that next level down that I think that you really do want to look at. Let's take a look at some, well, you know what? Let's take a look at 2024. We don't need to go back to 2014 again. Take a look at the strokes gained, and you can see how everyone got it done. Pavon and Lashley putted the lights out, which you're going to need to if you're not the big bombers, and Steven Jaeger putted the lights out. He's not a big bomber, but the other guys who hit the ball a mile, you see it right here, 3.5 off the tee for Højgaard, 2.5 for Knapp. Jaeger was bombing it off the tee, just couldn't hit any fairways, but his chipping and his putting were pretty good. Pendrith, obviously a bomber. Kevin Yu, obviously a bomber. Xander, Ludwig, Rogers, Homa, all bombers. Hideki, not really much of a bomber, honestly. And neither is Bhatia, but he probably just hit every single fairway, and he was making putts coming in. So if we just kind of break it down a little bit more, we look at driving stats in general, fairways versus greens and regulation. So greens and regulation, obviously, the guys at the top are going to hit a ton of greens and regulation. Let's take a look at driving distance gained versus the field and just sort by the top. So Goddard and Daugherty didn't do all that well. Valimaki, Bramlett, Minwoo, they all got themselves through the cut line. But then we start seeing the very tops of the big bombers. You have Ludwig, Knapp, Højgaard, Jaeger, Xander, Pendrith, Finau. All those guys finished inside the top 10. They all finished inside the top 15. And so did Kevin Yu of driving distance for the week. Dietrich was up there, and he was the leader for a lot of this. Cootie was inside the top 10. Parker Cootie. There's Taylor Moore. He was another bomber who ended up near the very top. Now, some guys are going to get it done in different ways, but you didn't necessarily have to hit a ton of fairways, as you can see by some of these guys who were third, second, third, ninth. They didn't hit all the fairways. You do need to do the other things well, obviously, but distance, by and large, over everything else means the most. I'm going to continue to hammer that down. Now watch Eric Colwyn. I'm going to look like a moron, but hey, I've looked like a moron enough in my life that I can handle a few more losing picks and terribly freezing cold take statements on the record for myself, but that's the way that I just kind of want to break all of this down, looking at it from those aspects. It's time to guess the odds for the Farmers Insurance Open. This is the most difficult one of the year so far. I think even looking back at the American Express and Sony, I mean, don't hold me to this, but guessing the odds the first 2 weeks, I think I didn't have the odds correct, obviously. Some guys withdrew after the fact. But I think in terms of who the top 8 on the board were going to be, I think I nailed them in both. I am not sure this time around because there's certain players like Jason Day. I have no idea where they're going to put Jason Day. Do they give him credit for being a 2-time winner? He's in the mix of the American Express. If he finishes strong at the American Express, he might be top 5 in odds. If he flames out at the South Course over the weekend in Palm Springs, then he's going to drop to like 40-1 probably. It's all really dependent on that sort of thing. Like, how do you put in Justin Rose? The only thing we've seen him do in 2025 is play TGL. No one cares about how that translates over to your odds at Torrey Pines. So here's what I got cooking. Morikawa as the favorite, 12-1. Hideki and Ludwig just behind him at 14-1 coming in. After that, I have Sungjae and Finau at 20 and 22. I think they're going to be the top 5. Then I have Homa at 25, former winner. People like him, played this course well. Why not? He's playing a little bit better right now. So I have him at 25-1. Jason Day at 28-1, presuming he finishes well this weekend. That's where I think the nice middle is if he doesn't win. Then I got Keegan, Thigala, Zalatoris, and Lowry all at 35-1. I think those are the names below 40-1. The other ones that you can mix into there, Grazerman, Pendrith, Clanton, Akshay, McNeely always gets overinflated by the odds. I don't think you'll see Siwoo or Eric Cole or Nikolai Højgaard end up into that mix. But the ones that I like so far, the ones that I'm really going to be looking for odds, if that Zalatoris, maybe that's wish casting, maybe Zalatoris will be like 22. But if he is 35 or higher, that I'm going to bet him at 25 anyway. But I just hope that he's at least 35. I'd love a bigger number on Willie Z. But Willie Z, Grazerman, Vegas, Thorbjornsen, Dietrich, Pendrith, and Jaeger are the main names that I'm looking at right now for if they're fair prices or even a bit longer. They're the ones that I'm going to be betting on Monday morning. And the market's going to move very quickly with a lot of information coming out quickly because, once again, this tournament starts on Wednesday. All right? You smash the like, you use code Mayo at Underdog, and subscribe to Fantasy National. betterhelp.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off, and you can do all the research that I've done and more. Do as much or as little as you like, and you'll get your hands on that ever so valuable Fantasy National Leaderboard app for your phone, and just watch it. It makes, I mean, most of the stuff on the PGA Tour site is terrible, but their app is especially terrible. This one just makes it look like the biggest Bush League product of all time. You'll want that Fantasy National Leaderboard app. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!